What happens when high expectations meet the hard reality of diplomacy? Why did many Ukrainians feel disappointed after the recent meeting between President Volodymyr Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump? And what does this signal about the future of military cooperation between the two countries? For several weeks, discussions around possible deliveries of long-range Tomahawk missiles had fueled hopes in Kyiv. Many believe that such an agreement could mark a new phase of military support from Washington. However, following the leaders' meeting in Washington, the mood in Ukraine shifted. According to multiple Western outlets, the talks were described as difficult, direct, and in some cases even unsuccessful. Behind the official statements and diplomatic smiles, there remains a key question. Did this meeting reveal deeper disagreements between Washington and Kyiv, or is it simply a pause in a longer negotiation process? According to the Associated Press, many Ukrainians expressed disappointment after learning that the United States might not provide Kyiv with long-range Tomahawk missiles. The publication quoted Ukrainian serviceman Roman Vinichenko, who described the whole discussion around the potential missile transfer as a political game. In his view, Ukraine was unlikely to receive such weapons in the near future. On Friday, President Trump and President Zelensky held their meeting in Washington. As CNN reported, the conversation was described as frank and straightforward. During the discussion, Trump reportedly made it clear that the United States would not be transferring long-range systems at this stage. The outlet Axios described the negotiations as challenging, with sources noting that the tone was firm and businesslike. One insider even commented that the talks did not go well. Other Western media echoed similar observations, emphasizing that while the meeting was important, it did not produce the results Kyiv had hoped for. For Zelensky, the stakes were high. Ukraine has long viewed American military support as a cornerstone of its defense strategy. The possibility of receiving Tomahawk missiles represented not only tactical value but also political symbolism, a sign of continued U.S. commitment. However, the current administration in Washington appears to be taking a more cautious approach. Analysts suggest that President Trump is focused on reassessing the scale and timing of U.S. military assistance to avoid further escalation. This perspective aligns with broader discussions in Washington, where policymakers are increasingly debating the limits of American involvement abroad. The outcome of the meeting also sparked internal discussions in Ukraine. Many officials and commentators are now reflecting on whether Kyiv should adjust its expectations or seek alternative forms of support from Western partners. International observers note that while the talks may seem disappointing in the short term, they could mark a turning point in how both countries define their cooperation, shifting from purely military assistance to a more strategic, long-term partnership. So, what can we learn from this meeting? In diplomacy, not every conversation produces immediate results, but every discussion reveals priorities. For Ukraine, the outcome underscores the challenge of maintaining momentum in its relationship with the United States. For Washington, it shows the complexity of balancing support with restraint. The broader message is clear: expectations and realities do not always align. Yet both sides continue to emphasize dialogue, partnership, and mutual understanding. The future of U.S.-Ukrainian relations will depend on how both nations interpret this moment, as a setback or as an opportunity to redefine their strategic path forward.